effects. The difference with edibles is that it takes longer to take effect.
Okay.
Usually it takes 30 minutes to an hour to take effect to go through your digestive system, rather than the inhalation, which takes either through smoking or through vaporizing, which can be available to the body in minutes. But then the edible means has a longer duration of effect. So
it lasts longer.
Several hours rather than just a couple of hours, for example, for the inhaled variety.
Okay. Yeah, I have to say, when I thought about the edibles for myself, I mean, I have gastroparesis, so I deal with nausea and vomiting pretty constantly, pretty often. And I can't imagine, if I'm nauseated already, the thought of trying to get anything edible into my mouth is just a no-go. I can't get my brain past that. But it sounds like if that is your situation as well, if you're going through a chemo, or if you're going through some sort of treatment, wasting syndrome, HIV, anything like that, and you don't have an appetite, you're nauseated, then vaporizing is the obvious sidestep, is the obvious alternative.
Right. That's one of the reasons why the inhalation method is so popular, either through smoking or vaporizing. But there's also now another method, the sublingual method, which is a spray. GW Pharmaceutical has come out with this product called Sativex or Sativex, which is a sublingual spray, and it has a very rapid onset of action and a metered dose, so you can tell exactly how much you're taking, which apparently is an issue to some people, and rapid onset of action.
Excellent. Well, that's something new that we didn't know. So we're going to go ahead and stick a pin in that. We're going to take a pause for the cause. When we come back, we are going to continue our conversation with Rick Cusick and Ken Wolski right here on 107.7 The Bronc and 107.7thebronc.com. This is the Medical Militia.
107.7 The Bronc is underwritten in part by MercerDeals.com. It's the best kept secret in Mercer County, but not for long. Everybody is logging on to MercerDeals.com and discovering all the different ways to save on the best products from the best businesses in Mercer County. That's right, every item available on MercerDeals.com is local, so you don't have to travel far from home to save. From Lawrenceville to Hamilton, Trenton to Princeton, these deals are right in your own backyard. Here's a sneak peek at just some of the savings on MercerDeals.com. A haircut, spa, manicure, and pedicure at Robert James Salon and Spa in Hamilton. Enjoy lunch or dinner after your spa day at Positano Grill in Ewing. And start your New Year's resolution at Pennington Fit Boot Camp, all a fraction of the original cost. But you don't have to see the savings to believe it. Get on the best kept secret in Mercer County, MercerDeals.com. Because once the word gets out, it won't be a secret anymore. Pick it, click it, and save. For more information, it's MercerDeals.com. That's MercerDeals.com.
The Medical Militia with Illuzionz O'Grandeur will return in 2 minutes or less on 107.7 The Bronc and 107.7thebronc.com.
They were once warriors. They were Kelly Cup champions. They were titans. And then they were gone. Trenton was never the same city without their heroes on the ice. Until now, Trenton Titans hockey is back in the capital city. Our battlefield? The Sun National Bank Center. Our war is for the Kelly Cup. Tune into 107.7 The Bronc and 107.7thebronc.com every game to find out if our Titans triumph or if they fall. The battle has begun. Experience the Titans' journey and the renewed quest for the Kelly Cup this season exclusively on 107.7 The Bronc and 107.7thebronc.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. You are listening to the Medical Militia Radio. I am Illuzionz O'Grandeur and or Illz OG, and I am here on 107.7 The Bronc and 107.7thebronc.com in Lawrenceville, New Jersey, Rider University. I have been doing an amazing show today. We have been blazing it up right here in the studio with Ken Wolski of CMMNJ, as well as Rick Cusick of Hightimes magazine. Thanks for being with me, guys.
Thank you, Lucia.
Thanks very much. much, Brendan. Pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a great morning, and we're really trying to get some great information out to you guys. Now, before we went to our break, we were talking a little bit about a product. Now, it's not currently available in the United States, if I'm correct, Mr. Wolski, but you were telling me a little bit about some new initiatives, some new things that are out there. So it sounds like there are some options and alternatives as far as dealing with medical marijuana. And can you give us the name of that product a little bit more?
It's called Sativex, Sativex, and it's put out by GW Pharmaceutical, and it's currently undergoing clinical testing here in the United States, and it's already approved in Canada, England, and Spain, I believe.
Excellent. Okay, so if you guys want to do some research, you want to find out some more information, you can definitely go do that. Now, let me play devil's advocate just for a second, because it's important to get great information out, but I know that there are these skeptics out there, and I know it because, I can tell you that logically I was absolutely one of them until I started doing some reading, until I started doing some digging and found, that there are doctors, nurses, different groups that are endorsing this, that, it's genuinely a beneficial alternative treatment for lots of patients out there. So in my mind, it just seems utterly insane not to have this as an alternative. But I also came across a story around Christmas time. There were some home invasions, some robberies. It was going on in Kennewick, Washington State. And what happened was there were individuals who were on a list of medical marijuana patients, and they were being tied up and robbed. No one was injured. There were no reported injuries, but, it was home invasions. And I think in the end, there was questions as to whether or not these individuals had been reselling their medical marijuana, thus making themselves a victim. But either way, I think this is these are the types of things that people are concerned with, or the types of things I've heard about or read about that people are concerned with is, the health and the security, when you're dealing with this type of substance. Now, my initial thought is, this just reminds me of prohibition. As long as this is a black market substance, as long as it's something that we cannot readily have access to if and when the situation is appropriate, then of course we're going to see all of these different acts. But if this is regulated like alcohol, per se, that was prohibited previously, you're not seeing people, obviously people are irresponsible with alcohol, but if someone's going to be irresponsible, they're going to be irresponsible. So I guess, my question is, what are you guys' thoughts on these types of situations? Do you feel like, if we were to make this legal across the board, not from just a state level, but from a federal perspective, that it would potentially curb some of these problems?
Well, I think that what you have in Prohibition, as you pointed out, your beer used to be delivered by Al Capone. Now it's delivered by some guy named Joe. And that's what we have to do here. We got to get your marijuana delivered by some guy named Joe. And until there's a federal law and a change in the federal law, and this is not just medical law, but until they actually redo that law, then you're always going to have this association with crime. You're always going to have this association with a contraband price, a drug war price, and and that's where you're going to get this people going after thieving it and using it for something other than what it was intended to be used for. And that's really the big question with medical laws. A lot of these medical laws are state by state by state, and they vary greatly. But in my opinion, a lot of the medical laws are still, redheaded stepchild of medicine in the places where they are because the federal law oversees it. For instance, you can't get your medicine, your medical cannabis ever paid for by your insurance until the federal law is overturned.
Yeah, now that seems completely illogical.
Yeah. So, that we're getting into a much,
that's a whole nother
more
show.
Controversial part of this thing. But, absolutely, you've got to make things across the board legal and get it out of the realm of the criminal.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And you know what? I think we might have to do another show and kind of get into the more controversial end of it. I think we did a great job of kind of keeping it light and making sure everybody knew just the base of what you need to know, what you need to understand about medical marijuana. and kind of where to go about finding information. Mr. Wolski, can you give them a little more information if people want to get involved and they really want to stand up, because that's what we do here on T-Mills. We try and stand for something, and if you're passionate about it, you believe in it, you stand up, or other people will stand with you. So, if we need to get a team out with you, how could they do that? How could they be supportive?
Well, thank you, Lakia. We have our organization, the Coalition for Medical Marijuana in New Jersey, has meetings on the second Tuesday of every month right here in Lawrence Township at the Lawrence Township Library from 7 to 9 p.m. That's our next meeting is this coming Tuesday. So anyone is welcome to come. The meetings are free and open to the public. We're also going to have a rally on the 2-year anniversary of the passing of the bill at the State House. That'll be the January the 18th at 12 noon. People are welcome to come out to that. Many patients are still getting arrested and imprisoned and facing terrible prosecution for using medical marijuana. And we have a case right down here in Burlington County in Mount Holly that's going to be starting up again on April 10th, 2012. And we're asking supporters to come out,
you guys,
and support Ed Fortune. You may know him as New Jersey Weed Man. He's actually he's a medical marijuana patient, in addition to being an advocate for religious and social use of marijuana. So there are a number of things that people can do. Obviously, stay informed. If you go to our website, cmmmnj.org, and put in your email address, we'll be happy to send you monthly updates on what's going on here in New Jersey.
Definitely get the newsletter. I get it, you guys, and it keeps me up to date. So I want to thank you guys, all of you gentlemen, for being with me. I'd also like to thank Rachel for checking in with us. It has been an amazing morning, and I definitely appreciate it. We'll have to do it again, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lakia, for having us. We really appreciate it.
All right. Now, we're going to go ahead and get into my favorite part of the show. You guys know what time it is. It is time for the soundtrack to my life. And, considering we are doing an all smoked out show today, what better song to go with that than the one and only punk, funk, music pioneer? I'm talking, my name is Rick James. Can I get some Mary Jane going on? There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Now, if you lived through the greatest era in smoking, Cheech and Chong, back in the 70s, Woodstock, when it was all about the Mary Jane, you absolutely could not have missed the brilliant, soulful, riveting hit maker, Rick James. You guys know I love these tortured artists, and as with all of them, Rick James is a perfect example of just that. Now, he was best known for, some of his funk jams like Super Freak, Give It To Me Baby. But, let's go back a little bit. Rick James was born James Johnson Jr., born in Buffalo, New York. And, he had a very clear connection to music right from birth. He was a nephew of the Temptations singer Melvin Franklin. And I don't know about you, but Temptations is my baby girl's favorite group, and she's a baby. So that just tells you how timeless the impact of music was on him. He was impulsive, and at 15, he joined the military, got into the Navy. But apparently it wasn't for Rick James, because he went AWOL and wound up somewhere up in Canada. While he was up there, he formed the group Minor Birds, and that was actually a group that had originally Neil Young. Following that, Rick James changed his name from James Johnson to Rick James, and there he landed a deal with Motown Records. He was one of their up-and-coming hits, and all of this was going on while, of course, he was still a deserter in the Navy. Once he came back to the U.S., he was thrown in jail. No surprise there. But following his release, he did some touring, went to England, and basically changed his sound completely. Came back, and it was all history from there. Next, you see the Mighty Stone Band. Now, with that, he stepped up, came with his debut LP, which was Come and Get It, and that was released under Motown's, Berry Gordy era, 1978. Smash hit there, You and I, and of course, the all-time pot culture classic, Mary Jane. He popularized on the popularity of the songs at the time, Mary Jane, and he came up with a girl group, and they accompanied him on his warm-up. They were his warm-up act. Now, if you didn't know and you haven't listened, one of my favorite artists was a warm-up artist for Rick James as well, and that is Prince. None but Prince was an opening act for Rick James back in the early 70s. So, Rick James had an amazing impact in pop culture, in just culture in general. You know, he's got a laundry list of hits. And, you know, even as far as back up to 1990, where you've got hip-hop artists such as MC Hammer sampling Rick James and comes up with a smash hit like You Can't Touch This. So, you know, Rick James is a music classic. He is a music icon. You know, he's one of those individuals who, as with all of them, when you hear them, you can feel their pain. You can understand where they were going, you know, what they were going through when they were going through it. You know, he became, of course, completely